Alright, we're back on the Fourth Amendment, Part B. When we were talking, to just refresh somebody who's just coming in, we went over the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, our forefathers probably never thought that this would be violated in such a horrific way. They probably never thought, but yet they put that last little sentence in there that not only said things to be seized, but and the persons or things to be seized. Not only for you to get arrested for some bogus stuff, which is why you need a warrant supported by an oath or affirmation, but also to have your children taken away. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some folks that are abusive to their children, whether physically, sexually, whatever, that basically need to be educated in the correct way to raise children. And that's the good thing about our system, is there are people who are willing to be a loving parent to children who have no other place to go, or at least no other safe place to go. However, nowadays we've gotten into the frame where when someone is mad at somebody else, they can turn around and accuse them of bogus stuff. And CPS is such a powerful organization, CPS, Child Protective Services, also known, which the federal government calls, some states call it DFS or DFFS, some other different acronyms. They're all basically the same thing. They're all interconnected, but they won't tell you. They all get funding from the government, and they get special funding for each child they can adopt out next year. Like, I'm not going to put a price on it because I can just see this is going to be a lawsuit from them, or them try to come and take my future children. But most of the time, and I know this for a fact, when they take a child, one, they have no warrant. Two, police do whatever they say, even without any warrant, any paperwork or nothing, except for a DFS, CPS worker showing up saying, we're taking this kid, help us. And police don't even realize that they have the right at that point in time to arrest that CPS worker for violating civil rights. They don't even know it. Unfortunately, police nowadays are so robotic, thinking that's how it works. They forgot the oath they took when they went into office, when they graduated the police academy. I have a lot of friends who are in law enforcement, and they remember their oath. And even they admit that there are so many people, especially nowadays, joining law enforcement, don't remember their oath and need to read the Constitution of the United States of America. And then these judges that are elected into office, they take the same oath, and they don't even remember that. Taking people's children away off an anonymous tip that proves to be wrong, and then CPS turns around and says, well, you've got to go through anger management because this is our blanket plan. Everybody gets this. They get an anger management, they get a parenting class, they get a psych evaluation, and an alcohol and drug and chemical dependency evaluation. And then if you do all these classes and all these tests, and the psychologist says, no, there's nothing wrong with you, which is rare, by the way, because they only get money if there's something wrong with you. So they can turn around and say, oh, but I can fix it. But anyways, even if they do say there's nothing wrong with you, and your chemical and alcohol dependency therapist, counselor, whatever, says no, you don't have a dependency issue, and your anger management and parenting class not only says you did a great job, you also helped instruct, and you were very smart on this, and we're kind of confused on why his or her children are taken away, they still just bat their eyes and take kids and keep them. Very rarely does anyone get their children back. And did you know, out of the people I've spoken to, it's roughly 9 out of 10 of them had showed me evidence that they were falsely accused. And did you know I've not met a single one who's gotten their children back who deserve them back? I have met a lot of people who have lost their children because they had a drug dependency issue and went through rehab and got their children back, whether or not they had affected the children by their issues, which I'm not avid drug user, so I don't know how that works. I believe most likely it would affect them in some way, shape, or form, but I'm no expert on that. However, they have a better opportunity to getting their children back, even if they had beaten or molested their children while on drugs, because they could blame it on the drugs, than someone who said, I never did anything wrong, here's the proof. And even the children say, no, mommy and daddy were good, still don't get their children back. You know why? Because they didn't admit they did anything wrong. That's CPS's whole deal. You never admitted it, so you don't get your kids back. And then you see that. And then you also see parents that take plea agreements to a bogus charge just because CPS says the only way you'll get your children back is if you take this plea. And then they've got to live with something on their record forever, and they still don't get their kids back. In fact, not too long ago, we saw in the news a couple years ago that a lot of people seem to forget about all of a sudden, of a lady had her children taken off a bogus deal. She got a good attorney, got her children back, and CPS retaliated by taking the attorney's children. Now, we live in a country where we let them rule. When you've got roughly 90% of the people never did anything wrong, and now you're giving the children post-traumatic stress disorder for a trauma event being taken from their parents falsely, and then say, but it's okay, it's CPS. The law enforcement that allow this need to wake up and read the Constitution so this stops happening. And people, our elected officials need to start paying attention instead of worrying about, I might lose my votes because I'm going to talk about an issue that might offend people. They need to get involved and say, while I'm in office, I'm going to fix what I can because we know and support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. CPS is very good about 10% of the time. But 90% of the time, they're very bad. Very bad. I don't care if drugs made you do it or not. If you molest or beat your children, you need to get help. And your children need to go to a safe environment. And if you didn't hurt your children, they should investigate that instead of taking your children and then saying, too bad, what's done is done. That's why on the Fourth Amendment they need a warrant. But they don't, because some law enforcement, they must have fell asleep during ethics class and government class and totally forgot that we the people have the right. That's when we the people need to turn around and place citizens' arrest under law enforcement. And if other law enforcement won't uphold it, well, maybe it's time we clean house in America. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate responses to this, but I don't care. This is a fact. When the country no longer cares about individual rights and cares more about themselves in a government position instead of the people, you need to clean house. There's a lot of ways to clean house. First and foremost is to elect people that actually speak the truth, do what they say, and when they say change, they specifically give you what change they're going to do. They don't say, change, change, change. Oh, it was change to lose your rights. But instead of, we're changing it back to the Constitution. Then, if that don't work, the country keeps going worse, the change no one's going to like. If we have to go through a civil war again, no one's going to like it. Brothers are going to be against brothers. Fathers against sons. Mothers against daughters. That'll be horrible. Unfortunately, our country might be going that way soon. Because there's too many people getting fed up. But I myself pray to who I believe my God is, that our country will heal so it doesn't have to do that. Because I love this great country. I served this great country for several years. I love this great country. But I don't love the road it's going down. I don't. God bless you.